Buddha in Hitler's place is not a good idea. However, Hitler in Buddha's place is a wonderful development. It simply signifies that the desire to change for good, the desire to learn and mature, the desire to evolve as a wise person exists. Similarly, is the case with Rahu, that is Hitler, in Punarvasu, that is Buddha's abode. The native has an intense desire to learn, to evolve, to mature, and to become knowledgeable. Rahu in Punarvasu is therefore a positive placement for Rahu. Always remember, an extrovert person, that is a Rahuish person, entering a place of worship, that is Jupiter's, Buddha's abode, is a good sign and not a bad one. One thing you all should always remember: whenever Rahu is in Cancer, the attachment with mother, with house, with bike, with car, with emotions is always there. Either the person is obsessed with his or her mother, or the mother is obsessed with the native. Many times, Rahu in Cancer gives birth to a mommy's boy or a mommy's girl. However, if the moon is placed negatively in the chart, then disputes with mother, absence of mother, loss of mother is also seen. Punarvasu means returning of the light, the godly. Punar means returning, and Vasu means one who is godly. A man or woman born with moon in Punarvasu nakshatra is very much interested in restoration of health, restoration of home, restoration of wealth, restoration of peace. Such men and women have excellent potential to heal others, because restoration is indeed a way of healing, restoring your health, restoring your wealth, restoring your peace of mind. And when Rahu is in Punarvasu, the person becomes too much obsessed towards restoration, towards healing, towards educating others, towards knowledge sharing. So you see, the intention is good, but whenever one gets obsessed with something, it becomes too much. And Lao Tzu says, too much is the only sin. As long as Jupiter is placed well in the birth chart, Rahu in Punarvasu can provide excellent results for natives who aspire to become doctors, engineers, professors, and scholars. However, if Jupiter is afflicted, then Rahu in Punarvasu can actually spoil the whole future of the native. And if Jupiter is retrograde, then the native is simply dragged into many miseries of life than otherwise. What is Jupiter in astrology? Asked Mohan. And I said, Mohan, Jupiter in astrology signifies Vivek. Vivek means conscious. And what is conscious? Conscious is doing what you believe is right, even though it might be unpopular or difficult. That is what Jupiter is all about in astrology. Rahu in Jupiter's nakshatra, Punarvasu, simply exaggerates the person's conscience, provided Jupiter is Yoga Karak and is not afflicted by Venus or Rahu or Ketu. Rahu in Punarvasu is generally found to be good for natives born on Aries ascendant, Leo ascendant, Sagittarius ascendant, Cancer ascendant, Scorpio ascendant, and Pisces ascendant. Jupiter simply loves these 6 ascendant signs and is also Yogakarak for all these 6 zodiac ascendants. And so Rahu in Punarvasu works wonders when the native is born on any of these 6 ascendant signs. Punarvasu is a very knowledgeable nakshatra, and the other name for Punarvasu is Aditya. Aditya means the Lord of Suns or the Sun Lord. Whosoever is going through Rahu Mahadasha or negative Rahu transits should do 12 Surya Namaskar every morning, and while doing Surya Namaskar, he or she should recite the following 12 mantras of Surya, that is Sun Lord. The first mantra, Om Mitraya Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who has affection to all. Second mantra, Om Ravaye Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who is the cause of all changes. The third mantra, Om Suryaya Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who induces all activities. The fourth mantra, Om Bhanave Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who diffuses light. The fifth mantra, Om Khagaya Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who moves in the sky. The sixth mantra, Om Pushne Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who nourishes all. The seventh mantra, Om Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who contains everything. The eighth mantra, Om Marichaye Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who possesses raga, that is celestial music. The ninth mantra, Om Adityaya Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Aditya, the god of gods. The 10th mantra, Om Savitre Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who produces everything. The 11th mantra, Om Arkaya Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who should be worshipped. And now the 12th mantra, Om Bhaskaraya Namaha, meaning I prostrate before Sun Lord who is the cause of luster. My fellows, one who recites all these highly powerful 12 Surya mantras and also does the yogasanas will never be harmed by Rahu or Ketu. When you recite each mantra and do the Surya Namaskar, as you see in this picture, you simply become invincible and no negative energy can harm you. And that is indeed the truth, my fellows. And I am so happy to share it with you all. But who wants to listen? People want easy solutions. They just want to spend money and buy solutions. They forget the fact that money cannot buy solutions. It can only buy you products, but not real-time solutions. What a wonderful coincidence that while I am sharing this podcast on Rahu in Punarvasu, this wonderful remedy has been revealed. Indeed, it must be a message from Sri Punarvasu, the Lord of Lords, the Sun Lord Aditya. Rahu in Punarvasu loves to repair. As mentioned earlier, Punarvasu is about restoration, and restoration happens only through repairing that which has been broken or damaged. Punarvasu therefore is godly, because only God can repair and restore your life. Only God. And whenever God repairs and restores your life, He ensures that you no more remain on the same level of awareness. God raises you, uplifts you to higher altitudes of awareness, consciousness. Whenever God restores something, He restores it to a place greater than it was before. Reminds me of a story. There was a young man. His name was Bhola. He must be like me. He lost everything: his father, his mother, his wife, his children, and then one day he lost his home. Walking on the streets all alone, he wondered, now what? The villagers also abandoned him. The whole society turned back on him. They all called him a bad omen. Society is fake, my fellows. Society will simply turn back on you as soon as you become a loser. And so Bhola started living on whatsoever he could collect from the dustbins. Slowly, he started turning inwards. He started chanting the name of the Lord. He became more and more spiritual, and then one day he moved out of the village. Everything was now left behind, and Bhola started walking towards the beyond. On his way, he stumbled upon an old man, and the old man looked into his eyes and smiled. His smile was so divine, there was so much love in his eyes, that Bhola started crying. The old man said, "Why you cry? Why you cry?" Bhola said, "I don't know, but just your glimpse moved my heart. I am Bhola and I have." The old man stopped him and said, "You don't need to tell me anything. I know who you are and I know what you have been through. Son, I have been waiting for you. I have been observing you. Not a day I have missed. Every minute, every day, I have been watching you." Bhola suddenly remembered his dreams. In his dreams, he had been seeing an old man smiling, and he looked exactly like this old man. Bhola fell on the old man's feet. Tears started flowing through his eyes. He said, "It was you. It was you, and you have been appearing in my dreams so often. I now realize that you are my master." The old man raised him up and said, "It's time, son. Your real journey is going to start now." And the old man gave a warm hug to Bhola. Bhola said, "Today I am truly reborn. I have lost everything: my wife, my mother, my father, my children. They all died, but now I know why I am alive. To experience this divine moment, to experience your blissful omnipresence, O Master. Although I have lost everything, today I realize that there is absolutely nobody as rich as I am, as fortunate as I am, as blessed as I am." The Master said, "Whatsoever you have lost was your destiny. your past life karma. Now you are free in the true sense. Now there is no balance left. You have arrived, and now your real education will begin. Come, let's move into the deep forest. And Bhola walked with the master. Bhola was not seen for the next 5 years. Nobody knew where he went until one afternoon he was back. But he looked different. There was a certain glow on his face. There was so much grace in his eyes. He was no more the same Bhola. He had transformed. He had changed into a man of awareness. A man of awareness needs neither duties nor responsibilities nor choices. Yet only he is capable of doing the right thing in the right moment. And that is how a true master is. He comes only when the moment is right. Bhola had arrived, but he was transformed. He had become enlightened by the grace of his master. He had attained that which your money, your status cannot attain. A few villagers noticed him, but they didn't recognize him. They bowed before him and said, "Please come to our village. We will take care of you." Bhola smiled. He knew that these villagers were the same villagers who had caused much trouble to him, that these were the same villagers who had abandoned him, condemned him, but now they could not recognize him. Bhola said, "Sure, I will come to your village. That is where I belong." The villagers could not understand. They showed him the way towards their village, and Bhola started walking. Every step reminded him of the days when on the same route he had walked as a lost man, a man who was abandoned by the society, a man who was condemned by the same society. Bhola smiled. At a moment while walking he laughed, a loud belly laugh. The villagers wondered what made this man laugh at such strange moment. But that is how a true master is. He laughs on himself. He laughs at the strange ways of this human world. He laughs at the jokes that God plays often in this human life. After a while, they reached the village. The whole village came to seek blessings, and Bhola blessed everybody. Then someone said, "There has been no rains this year. The cattle is dying of thirst. Women and children are dying of thirst. Please help us." Bhola said, "Your problem will be solved. I will stand in this flowing river and meditate for 2 days. After 2 days, the rains will come. They will have to come." And Bhola stood in the running river water and meditated for 2 days. With his intense penance and love, God granted his wish, and exactly after 2 days, rains came, and they came so heavily that all the fields and farmlands received abundance of water. The cattle, the women, the children, everybody rejoiced. The birds started singing, the flowers started dancing. The whole village became happy, and they all could not find words to express their gratitude. They came and said, "We are truly blessed by your omnipresence. You have done a great service to our village." Bhola said, "It is also my village. Remember when you met me, I had said that it is this village to which I belong." The villager said, "But how?" Bhola said, "You remember? There was a young man in this village. You all hated him. You all condemned him. You all labeled him as a bad omen. Do you remember that young man who had lost everything? One old villager stepped ahead and said, "Yes, master. Yes, I remember. His name was Bhola." And Bhola smiled and said, "I am the same Bhola. My fellows, I am the same Bhola." The villagers could not believe their eyes and their ears. They all started trembling with fear. They all said, "We are sorry. We are very, very sorry to have troubled you. Please don't curse us. Please don't hate us." What a strange way of this world is. Those who hated you are now saying, "Don't hate us." Bhola smiled and said, "Hate is not my way of life. My way of life is love, and I love you all. So now you go back to your home and start making preparations for celebrations. God has showered the rains, and now we all must sing in His praise, dance in His praise." The villagers went back home with heavy heart. They all felt guilty for their behavior, but they also were happy to see that someone from their village has risen to the height of Buddha. They felt blessed. Happily, they started preparing for the celebrations. After a few days, Bhola left the village. The villagers kept crying. They were not willing to let him go. But Bhola said, "I am like a flowing river. I cannot stay here forever, because only flowing water remains fresh, whereas water that never flows becomes stale, and so I must leave." And Bhola left, never to be seen again. Later, many men and women became his disciples, and whenever his disciples asked, "Who restored your life?" Bhola's eyes would become wet, and he would say, "That old man who always waited for me, who loved me, who blessed me, without whom I am lifeless, my Guru, my Master. He restored my life, and not only He restored my life, but He also raised me to the highest level of consciousness. Even if I wash His feet with my blood, even if I clean His feet with the whole skin of my body, still I will never be able to express my gratitude to the fullest. So much He has given me. His breath is my breath. My breath is His." That is how a true master is. He restores your life, but also raises you to the higher altitude of consciousness. And that is exactly how Punarvasu Nakshatra is. Punarvasu too restores your life, and Punarvasu is ruled by Jupiter, the Guru, the Master. What a beautiful connection, and how beautiful astrology can be. Only if you can connect with your heart, only if you can feel more. That is why I always say, think less and feel more. Get out of your head and get into your heart. Follow your heart. Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra native, having a positive placement of Jupiter, does take great interest in conceptualizing new initiatives, focusing on remedies that improve your health, performing certain remedies, providing solutions, repairing and restoring damaged materials, coaching and providing counseling, farming business, Education sector, spreading knowledge, educating the weaker sections of society, social work, laying foundations of large institutions, family life, especially considers mother as an ideal or as an inspiration of life. One of the most striking signs of Rahu in Punarvasu is that the native loves to preach, to teach and nurture the society. Many great preachers are born with Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra. If you give a project to a manager having Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra, then he will treat the project as his child, and like a mother, he will take care of all the aspects of the project and complete it with great care and perfection. Rahu in Punarvasu makes the native extremely caring, to the extent that sometimes it just becomes too much to handle. For example, a mother having Rahu in Punarvasu is so much caring that the child starts suffocating. Always remember, too much is the only sin. Yesterday, Mohan asked a very interesting question. He asked, Cancer Rahu in Ashlesha is caring, and Cancer Rahu in Punarvasu is also caring. But then what is the difference between their caring nature? I said, Mohan, Rahu in Ashlesha brings too much head into the caring nature, and Rahu in Punarvasu brings too much of alertness in caring nature. There is one beautiful word in Hindi, Siddhant, meaning values, principles, ethics. A person having Rahu in Punarvasu is more focused on ensuring that he as well as his child follows certain Siddhant, meaning values, principles and ethics. His or her caring nature is more about following certain values and principles, while Rahu in Ashlesha is more about the chattering mind that goes on caring, and this type of caring makes you worry more and more. Always remember, worry is one of the basically destructive qualities of the mind, which does not allow thinking. Worry is not thinking. Thinking is never worried. Thinking is a very relaxed phenomena. Worry is too tense. It cannot think. It moves into the same groove again and again and again. It is simply confusion. Everything rushes in, rushes out, but there is never any conclusion. It is like a wheel that goes on moving in the same rut. Ashlesha Rahu simply goes on worrying. This worrying is of the head, and to such a worry he considers as caring. Whereas Punarvasu Rahu simply cares. His caring is of the heart and not of the head. Generally, Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra attains success in whatsoever he undertakes. When Rahu is in the abode of Jupiter, certain positivity of Jupiter compels Rahu to act with awareness than otherwise. Rahu is the north node of the mind, and so no matter in which nakshatra Rahu is, as long as Rahu is in Cancer, the control of mind over the native is very tight, and the native often is engulfed in the clutches of mind, unless he is a meditative being or he has a Ketu moon conjunction. Remember, the mind is a great prison. The Sufis say the mind is a disease, and indeed it is a truth. Once it happened, there was a man who lost his axe, and he suspected the boy next door. He watched the boy walking. He had stolen his axe. his expression, his talk, his behavior, his manner, everything about him confirmed that he had stolen the axe. However, the next day the man was digging in his garden and he found the axe. So, in reality, the axe was not stolen by the boy but was lost in the garden. Now, when the man saw the boy next door again, nothing in his behavior and manner suggested that he would steal an axe. So, you see, this is how the cunning mind works. First, the man's mind made him believe that the boy must have stolen his axe. The mind made him believe that the body language of the boy indeed is that of a thief. You see? But in the end, the truth was something else. The truth was that the axe was not stolen by the boy, but was simply lost in the field. And this is how people spoil their relationship. The boyfriend starts thinking that his girlfriend is cheating him, that she is having sex with another boy. Then, whatever the girlfriend says, the mind makes the boyfriend believe that indeed his doubt is correct, when in reality the girlfriend is completely innocent. And then a day comes when the relationship no more can survive and it breaks, bringing a great deal of pain to both the boyfriend and the girlfriend. Doubt is of the mind, and the mind is a monkey. The mind can never know the truth, though the mind goes on making you believe that what you think is the truth, and that creates more and more distance between you and your partner. The mind is a monster that it simply destroys love. The mind kills love. An ordinary mind is an active agent. It is not like a mirror. It is not just showing whatsoever is the case. No, it penetrates actively. It brings its own ideas to reality. It colors reality. It gives a shape. It gives a form to reality which is not there, which has been brought by the mind itself. The trick of the mind is such that whatsoever the mind thinks, it always finds there. Because first you put something in reality and then you read it. With the right hand you put it, with the left hand you read it, and you think you are reading reality. Always remember, the mind creates Maya, that is illusion. The mind creates illusion. If you live through the mind, you live in Maya, you live in illusion. You live in your own projections and ideas. Layers of your thoughts hide you from reality and hide reality from you. Dropping the mind is dropping the Maya, the illusion, the very base of all hallucinations. Once the mind is not there, suddenly that which is revealed. In the space of no mind, truth descends like light. When Rahu is in Cancer sign, ruled by moon, which signify mind, the native has to take special efforts to control the monkey mind and eventually overcome the mind by turning inwards, by chanting the holy mantra. However, this is possible only in the case of evolved souls. Common souls, shallow souls, having Rahu in Cancer, simply remain in the tight grip of the mind. And when you remain a slave of your mind, the mind takes you for a nice ride. The mind is a beautiful servant, but a dangerous master. When you make the mind as your master, you will suffer a lot in life. It is only when you make the mind as your servant that you will find peace, bliss, and happiness in life. What is the mind? The mind is the result of your many past birth sanskar. That is the result of your many past birth cultures and impacts. The state of your mind, that is your moon placement, is directly connected with your past birth cycle journeys. If you have moon in the 8th house, it simply means that for many births you had been focusing on the matters of the 8th house. It may be witchcraft, it may be ghosts, it may be investigations, it may be research, underworld, treasuries, and all the matters related to 8th house. However, the most significant trademark of 8th house moon placement is fear. Natives having moon in 8th house are always fearful. They lack courage unless there is another planet along with moon in the 8th house. 8th house moon natives are driven by fear and not by love. If Rahu is in Punarvasu Nakshatra, that is in Cancer sign, and moon is in the 8th house, then matters become worse in relation with family life, house, properties. Rahu in Punarvasu is beneficial only when Jupiter and moon are placed in positive house and not in the 6th, 8th and 12th house. However, if moon is in the 6th, 8th and 12th house and is receiving 5th, 7th or 9th aspect from Jupiter, then Rahu can give positive results. It all depends on how and what state the moon, that is the mind, is, and Jupiter, that is conscious, is. Always remember, 8th house, 12th house and 6th house placements are not always bad, provided the Lord of this house is Yogakarak and placed in suitable house and sign. So never be quick to judge. Quick to judge, quick to anger, slow to understand, prejudice, fear and ignorance walk hand in hand. Always remember this. In the very beginning of this sharing, I had specifically mentioned that Rahu in Cancer generally makes one a mommy's boy. The native is attached to his mother and the mother is also attached to her son. In the history of Indian politics, there can be no other better example than that of late Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. His attachment to mother, that is Indira Gandhi, was well known, and incidentally he became the Prime Minister of India when Indira Gandhi was killed. So he became a successor to his mother. He had Cancer Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra. In fact, Rajiv Gandhi was the first accidental Prime Minister and not Manmohan Singh. Millions of Sikhs were brutally killed after Indira Gandhi was assassinated. And when journalists asked that why the Congress government did not intervene and stop this mad killing and bloodshed, Rajiv Gandhi quotes, "When a big tree falls, the ground shakes." So, Rajiv Gandhi is justifying the killing of Sikhs and the bloodshed and the anger by claiming that his mother, late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, was a big tree, and when a big tree falls, the ground shakes, that is, bloodshed happens. So you see, attachment with mother is a trademark of Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra and in general Rahu in Cancer sign. Rajiv Gandhi had Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra. Punarvasu Nakshatra definitely brings the desire to restore, to nurture. and Rajiv Gandhi did many good things for the country. He was the one who encouraged establishing the IT industry in India. Today, the blooming IT industry in India certainly cannot get away without expressing gratitude towards Rajiv Gandhi, one of the youngest leader who became Prime Minister of India at the age of 40. Philanthropy and social work is what Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra native is good at. Reminds me of Ivanka Trump, a rising social figure who has done exceptionally well for herself by devoting herself to many social causes and philanthropy work. Ivanka Trump has Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra, and I certainly will not be surprised if she attains a prominent role in US politics, for she has what it takes to succeed in politics. Punarvasu is ruled by Jupiter, and Rahu in Punarvasu thus brings great interest towards learning about other faiths, that is, about other religions. And at times the native also converts to the faith in which he or she believes in. Raised as a Christian, Ivanka Trump converted to Orthodox Judaism in July 2009. Ivanka took the Hebrew name Yael. She describes her conversion as an amazing and beautiful journey, which her father, Donald Trump, supported from day one, adding that he has tremendous respect for the Jewish faith. Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra indeed makes the native a faithful person. Ivanka Trump having Rahu in Punarvasu indeed confirms this fact. Yet another Jewish native who is one of the greatest legendary Hollywood actor, Michael Douglas, also has Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra. One of the famous quote of Michael Douglas is, "I am a Jew. Those are 4 words of pride. My Jewishness is as deep as my genes." Religious, faithful, preacher. All these qualities of Jupiter are simply exaggerated when Rahu is in Punarvasu Nakshatra, and the person can and does goes to extremes when it comes to religion. It is not bad to have Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra. As mentioned in the very beginning of this sharing, it is always good to have Hitler standing in the abode of Buddha. So natives having Rahu in Punarvasu certainly have arrived on this planet to strengthen religion, religious thoughts, and to raise the flag of religion much higher than it is now. Being righteous, being religious, being caring, nurturing, restoring and repairing, motivating and inspiring others to walk on the path of faith are some of the prominent traits of Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra. It is a good placement, and if the chart is of an evolved soul, then this Rahu in Punarvasu certainly can bring a better change in this world and make this world a much better place to live. It is necessary to remember that the planet does not need more successful people. The planet desperately needs more peacemakers, more healers, restorers, storytellers, and lovers of all kinds. That is exactly what Rahu in Punarvasu Nakshatra can provide to this planet. Healers, peacemakers, preachers, and restorers. I prostrate before the divine knowledgeable Nakshatra, Punarvasu. May his blessings shower upon me and all my listeners and followers. To attain more strength from the pious and benevolent Nakshatra Punarvasu, one should plant a bamboo tree in a big pot or garden. The tree that Punarvasu signify is the bamboo tree. And those who know the immense power and beauty of the bamboo plant cannot agree more. Bamboo is the most auspicious plant, just the way Punarvasu is the most auspicious star. Lord Rama was born on Punarvasu Nakshatra, the nakshatra that restores righteousness, that restores dharma. Rama is indeed our soul, Sita is our heart, while Ravana, the demon king Asura, is our mind. Eradicate the mind, drop the mind, defeat the mind, and the soul will rise and speak. Eradicate the mind, and your heart will start beating with love. For the first time, you will feel alive, you will feel lighter. The miracle dwells in your heart. Your heart knows the answer. Your heart is where God dwells. Your heart is beautiful. The only lasting beauty is the beauty of the heart. Always remember this. Intellect and logic is dry and boring. That is why the Guru, the Master, loves those who follow their heart. I love those who are followers of the heart. Then we can sing together. Then we can dance together. Then life is no more a misery, but a wonderful adventure. You continue to exist as long as you are following your head. However, the moment you drop your head and start following your heart, that is when you truly start living. That is when you truly become adventurous. If your heart says take the jump, then take the jump. Then risk, then be adventurous. Adventure is possible only when you walk the way of the heart. God realization is one of the greatest adventure. Punarvasu means God of gods, and God loves all those beautiful souls who are willing to jump into the unknown. God loves those who are willing to take the risk. Always remember, it is God who chooses his men. It is the Guru who chooses his disciples. Jesus chose 12 disciples. Krishna chose Arjuna. Buddha chose Mahakasyap. Mahakasyap was the first disciple of Buddha who attained enlightenment. And he was not in rush. In fact, he wanted to delay the experience of enlightenment because Buddha had made a rule. And the rule was such that once his disciple attains enlightenment, then he cannot live with Buddha. He has to leave Buddha and travel to spread the light, the knowledge, the wisdom. And Mahakasyap loved Buddha so much that when he attained enlightenment, he remained silent. He thought Buddha will not know, but who can hide anything from the Master? And so Buddha said, Mahakasyap, don't try to deceive me. Now there is no need to sit under this tree. Get on and move. There are millions of people who are still groping in darkness, and you are sitting here enlightened. Take this fire of your enlightenment and make as many people aflame as possible. Mahakasyap was in tears. He started crying. He said, Master, I have been hiding. I am enlightened and I cannot go near you. I wanted to touch your feet, but I touched your feet, just made the gesture of touching your feet from far away under the tree. Because I knew that once one is enlightened, he is sent away. Buddha raised Mahakasyap and said, I love you. I am with you. Wheresoever you go, I am with you. So now start your journey. Walk to the farthest shores of this planet and help those who are thirsty for God, for love, for the truth. And Mahakasyap left, he traveled his whole life and helped those who were thirsty for God, for love, for the ultimate truth. Truth is what Punarvasu loves. One who seeks the truth, one who seeks God, one who seeks love should always worship the pious, benevolent nakshatra of Punarvasu. Love to all my close followers and listeners. Stay blessed and remember, you are not alone. God is with you. Jai Sri Ganesha. Jai Guru.